There comes a time in your life when you have to make a decision to stop living in the shadows of your own potential, a decision to stop waiting for motivation, for the perfect moment, for someone to save you, or for the stars to align. You have to decide to force yourself to level up. You see, greatness doesn't come knocking on your door. Success doesn't stroll into your life by accident. No one wakes up one day at the top of their game. You don't stumble into your dream life. You grind for it, you suffer for it, you sacrifice for it, and more than anything, you force yourself to grow when it's uncomfortable, painful, and inconvenient. Everybody wants success, but not everyone wants to grow. Everyone wants results, but few are willing to change. But the truth is, your next level will never come from staying the same. If you want to level up, you've got to break up with your excuses, your bad habits, your comfort zone. You've got to cut ties with the version of you that settles, delays, and hides from pressure. The strongest version of you is not found in peace and safety. It is forged in pressure, in discomfort, in struggle. When your body wants to quit and your mind says, just rest, you must speak louder. You must force yourself to rise, to push, to do one more rep, make one more call, write one more page, show up one more day, because growth doesn't care about your feelings. It responds to your decisions. You think successful people feel motivated every day? They don't. But they act anyway. You think winners are fearless? No, they just face fear head on. You think high performers are lucky? No, they've just outworked you when you weren't watching. They didn't wait until they were ready. They forced themselves to be ready. So ask yourself, are you doing what's easy or what's necessary? Are you giving your life everything you've got or just what's comfortable? The dream in your heart is not there to tease you, it's there to call you up. But it won't become reality until you become disciplined enough to pursue it when nobody's watching, when everything feels hard, and when quitting sounds better than continuing. You must become your own motivator, your own trainer, your own accountability partner. No one is coming to do it for you. This is your journey, and you got to walk it whether it's raining or sunny, uphill or downhill, with support or alone. You've got to force yourself out of bed, out of laziness, out of mediocrity. You've got to look in the mirror and say, I owe it to myself to become who I was born to be. Leveling up is a fight against who you used to be, a fight against the voices telling you you're not good enough, a fight against distractions, doubt, and delay. But every time you choose discipline over excuses, every time you silence the voice that says you can't, every time you show up when you don't feel like it, you win that fight. And every little win adds up. Day by day, inch by inch, you rise. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being consistent. It's about doing the work even when it's not glamorous. It's about refusing to live below your potential for one more day. You've got dreams, talents, and greatness inside you, but none of it matters if you don't demand more from yourself. So from this day forward, make a promise to do better, a promise to stop playing small, a promise to stop sitting on the sidelines of your own life. Don't just wish for a better future. Work for it, train for it, force it to happen. Discomfort is not your enemy. In fact, it is your greatest ally when you're trying to grow, improve, and rise to the next level in life. Most people run from discomfort. They avoid the hard conversations, the difficult tasks, the early mornings, and the unfamiliar experiences. But what they don't realize is that in doing so, they are also running from the very things that could transform them. Growth doesn't happen when everything is easy. It happens when you're stretched, tested, and forced to adapt. If you're serious about leveling up in life, then you need to stop treating discomfort like a threat and start treating it like your training ground. Think about the gym. Muscles grow not because you do what feels good, but because you push past what's comfortable. You pick up the heavier weight, go the extra set, and hold the position a few seconds longer than your body wants to. That struggle, that burn, that resistance, that's the discomfort that leads to growth. Life works the same way. If you never force yourself into situations that challenge your limits, you will stay exactly where you are, repeating the same patterns, stuck at the same level. Discomfort teaches you resilience. When you put yourself in situations where you don't know all the answers, where you're the beginner, where you feel uncertain, you're learning how to trust yourself. You're learning how to adapt, how to think creatively, how to persevere. Every time you go through a difficult experience and come out the other side, you become stronger, more confident, and more capable. That's the real reward, not just the external achievements, but the internal transformation. So why do people resist it so much? Because discomfort is inconvenient. It interrupts your routine. It demands effort. It makes you face things about yourself you'd rather ignore, your fears, your weaknesses, your insecurities. But if you avoid discomfort to protect your pride, you'll never grow beyond your current reality. You'll stay emotionally soft, mentally fragile, and spiritually stagnant. You have to choose discomfort on purpose. You have to say yes to the things that scare you. You have to step forward into the unknown, knowing it might hurt, but believing it will be worth it. There's a version of you on the other side of your comfort zone that you haven't met yet. A version that's stronger, wiser, bolder, and more fulfilled. But you won't meet them by doing what you've always done. You'll meet them by doing what you've avoided for too long, that uncomfortable conversation you've been putting off. It could unlock healing and growth. That hard project you keep procrastinating on. It could be the launch pad to your next opportunity, that new environment that feels intimidating. It might be the place where you finally come alive. Discomfort isn't a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that something real is happening. Growth feels awkward, messy, and sometimes even painful. But that's how you know it's working. When you're growing, you're not supposed to feel comfortable. You're supposed to feel like you're being stretched beyond your old limitations. That's how you break through. That's how you level up, by leaning into the resistance, not running from it. People who succeed at the highest levels have one thing in common. They don't avoid discomfort, they seek it. They understand that the path to greatness is paved with struggle. They know that if it doesn't challenge them, it won't change them. So they deliberately put themselves in tough situations to sharpen their mindset, increase their capacity, and earn their breakthroughs. And they don't wait until they feel ready. They act, and then they grow in the process. You have to stop looking for the easy route. The easy route will never take you to an extraordinary life. It might give you comfort in the short term, but it will cost you progress in the long run. You'll never build anything meaningful if you're always looking for the path of least resistance. Growth requires sacrifice. You have to sacrifice your comfort to gain your future. You have to trade your current self for your higher self. And that transaction always happens in the space of discomfort. So from this moment on, reframe how you see discomfort. Don't see it as something to escape. See it as the arena where your potential is awakened. When life gets uncomfortable, tell yourself, this is the moment I grow. When the work gets hard, remind yourself, this is the level that builds strength. When fear tries to hold you back, say, this is the gate I must pass through to reach my next level. You are not meant to stay the same. You are not meant to shrink in the face of challenge. You are meant to expand, to evolve, to stretch beyond what you thought was possible. And that only happens when you force yourself to face discomfort with courage and persistence. Because on the other side of that pain, that fear, that resistance, is your next level. And it's waiting for you to step up. Motivation is a great place to start, but it's never strong enough to carry you through the process of transformation. Motivation is a spark. It comes and goes. It rises and falls with your emotions, your environment, and even the weather. One day you feel inspired and ready to go all in, and the next day you're tired, distracted, and unmotivated. That's why relying on motivation alone is a dangerous game. It's not consistent. It's not dependable. And it won't get you through the hard days. What you need is discipline. Discipline is what steps in when motivation leaves. Discipline is what keeps you moving when every part of you wants to quit. It's the commitment to act, not because you feel like it, but because you made a decision. It's doing the work, even when your energy is low, even when the results are slow, and even when nobody's clapping for you. Discipline is the muscle that moves you forward no matter what. It's what separates those who dream from those who execute, because dreams without discipline will always remain dreams. People often ask, how do I stay motivated? But that's the wrong question. The better question is, how do I stay disciplined? Because the truth is, nobody feels motivated all the time. Even the most successful people have days when they don't want to do the work. The difference is they don't wait for a feeling to act. They act because they're driven by purpose, routine, and consistency. They've trained their minds to show up regardless of the mood they're in, and that's what makes them different. Discipline means making choices that align with your goals, not your comfort. It's saying no to distractions, no to shortcuts, no to temporary pleasure in exchange for long-term gain. It's waking up early when your body begs for sleep. It's turning off your phone when your mind craves entertainment. It's going to the gym when your muscles ache. It's writing that page, making that call, studying that material day after day after day, not because it's exciting, but because it's necessary. Most people stay stuck because they're waiting to feel motivated before they move. But progress doesn't come from waiting. Progress comes from action. And action fuels motivation, not the other way around. When you take action consistently, your brain begins to associate discipline with results. And over time, that repetition builds momentum. That momentum turns into belief. And that belief turns into a new identity, the kind of person who follows through no matter what. That's what discipline does. It builds identity. Every time you choose to act with discipline, you are voting for the version of yourself you want to become. And over time, those votes stack up. They become habits, they become standards, they become your new normal. But the opposite is also true. Every time you choose laziness, every time you skip the hard thing, every time you break a promise to yourself, you're reinforcing a weaker identity. You're training yourself to quit. That's why discipline is not just about work, it's about self-respect. When you force yourself to be disciplined, you are telling yourself, I am worth the effort. You are proving to yourself that your future matters, that your goals matter, that your growth matters. That your growth matters. You are showing yourself that you are capable of doing hard things, of staying committed, of being reliable. And when you build that level of trust with yourself, your confidence skyrockets. You stop doubting. You stop hesitating. You move with conviction because you know you can depend on yourself. And let's be honest, there will be days when you won't feel like doing anything. Days when life hits you with problems, stress, setbacks. Days when the progress seems invisible. That's where discipline becomes your shield. Discipline says, I don't care how I feel, I made a promise. Discipline says, I don't need to see the results today. I just need to do what I said I would do. And that kind of mindset is what creates unstoppable momentum. That's how people level up, not by being inspired every day, but by being disciplined every day. The truth is, motivation is a luxury, discipline is survival. If you only act when it's easy, you'll never grow. If you only show up when you feel good, you'll never finish. But if you can train yourself to be disciplined, to do the work regardless of the mood, then nothing can stop you. Because talent without discipline fades. Potential without discipline wastes away. But discipline turns average into excellence, vision into reality, and effort into legacy. So don't chase motivation. Build discipline. Make it a habit to show up, even on your worst days. Especially on your worst days, because that's when it counts the most. And in the end, it's not the one who starts with the most excitement who wins. It's the one who stays consistent, committed, and disciplined, day in and day out, who rises to the top. Force yourself to level up by mastering discipline, because that's where your next level lives. You cannot become a new version of yourself while clinging to the habits of your old self. That's the truth that most people don't want to hear. We say we want to grow, we say we want to level up, we talk about our dreams and goals, but we don't realize that those goals come with a price, and that price is change. The habits that got you to where you are now will not be enough to take you to where you want to go. If you want to evolve, you have to let go of the patterns that are holding you back. You have to break up with your old habits, no matter how comfortable or familiar they may feel. Bad habits are like chains. They don't seem heavy at first, but over time, they weigh you down. They keep you stuck. They keep you small. They steal your time, drain your energy, and destroy your focus. And the worst part is, most of us don't even notice how deeply embedded they've become in our daily routines. We wake up and check our phones before we even breathe. We procrastinate on the important things and convince ourselves we'll do them later. We indulge in distractions, binge on entertainment, skip the gym, hit snooze, and tell ourselves that we'll get serious tomorrow. But tomorrow never comes, because it's built on the same habits that ruin today. If you truly want to rise, you need to take a hard, honest look at your life. And ask yourself, what habits are keeping me average? What habits are stopping me from being who I know I can be? Maybe it's the habit of making excuses. Maybe it's the habit of always choosing comfort over effort. Maybe it's the habit of avoiding hard conversations, blaming others, or doubting yourself. Whatever it is, you must face it, because nothing changes until you do. Breaking old habits isn't easy. They've been part of your life for so long, they feel like a part of you, but they're not. They're learned behaviors. And anything learned can be unlearned. You just have to be willing to go through the discomfort of the process. You have to become more committed to your growth and to your routines. That means doing the opposite of what your habits want. When your old habit tells you to scroll for an hour, you stop and read a book. When it tells you to skip the workout, you lace up your shoes and show up anyway. When it tells you to put things off, you start immediately, even if it's just for 5 minutes. You don't change your habits by talking about them. You change them by acting in spite of them. Every time you do the hard thing instead of the easy thing, you're weakening the grip of your old identity. You're telling your mind and body, We don't do things that way anymore. And the more you repeat those decisions, the more your brain rewires itself. That's science. That's how transformation happens, not in one big moment, but in 1,000 small disciplined choices stacked on top of each other. Letting go of bad habits also means letting go of the identity that came with them. If you've always seen yourself as lazy, unmotivated, undisciplined, or inconsistent, you have to stop repeating that story. Your actions shape your identity, but your beliefs also shape your actions. So if you keep telling yourself that you're stuck, you'll act like you're stuck. If you keep telling yourself that you're a procrastinator, you'll act like one. But when you change the narrative, when you start saying, I'm becoming focused, I'm becoming disciplined, I'm becoming powerful, you start to act like it. And slowly but surely, you become it. Breaking up with your old habits is an act of courage. It means walking away from the things that feel easy, safe, and familiar, and choosing the harder path. But that hard path is where your freedom lives. That path is where you'll find your strength, your purpose, your power. The comfort zone is a silent killer. It looks harmless on the surface, but underneath it's slowly draining your potential. You can't afford to stay there, not if you want more from your life, not if you want to level up. So start with one habit, one small thing you know is holding you back. Target it, replace it, be ruthless about it, and then move to the next one. Build momentum. Celebrate the little wins. And when you feel tempted to fall back into your old ways, remind yourself of what's at stake. Your goals, your future, your self-respect. This isn't just about changing your behavior, it's about changing your standard. You're not here to live on repeat. You're here to evolve, you're here to grow. And growth begins the moment you decide to break up with the habits that are holding you back. At some point in life, you have to stop waiting for someone to come and change things for you. You have to stop expecting a helping hand to magically appear when times get hard. The truth is, nobody is coming to rescue you. Nobody is going to push you every day, keep you accountable every hour, or carry you to your dream life. If you want to level up, you must understand that you are your only rescue. It's on you, your growth, your discipline, your progress. It's your responsibility, not anyone else's. This truth can feel harsh at first. It's tempting to believe that someone will eventually see your struggle and come to your aid. Maybe a mentor will find you, maybe a friend will push you. Maybe luck will suddenly change everything. But that mindset only delays progress. It creates a cycle of dependency and excuses. When you keep waiting on external circumstances to shift before you take action, you stay stuck in place. You lose time. And time is one thing you can never get back. The sooner you realize that your life will only change when you decide to change it, the faster you begin to move forward. Taking full ownership of your life is one of the most powerful and liberating things you can ever do. It puts the power back in your hands. It means you don't have to wait for permission. You don't have to wait for motivation. And you don't have to wait for anyone else to get it together before you start rising. You set the pace, you determine the direction. You are in control of how far you go and how hard you work. That's empowering because it means your progress is no longer a guessing game. It's a result of your choices day after day. You can't level up while playing the victim. You can't reach your goals while blaming other people for your lack of results. Maybe your circumstances aren't ideal. Maybe you've been through pain, setbacks, or betrayal, but those things don't define you. What defines you is how you respond to them. What you do next is what matters most. When life gets hard, you have two options: complain or conquer. One keeps you stuck, the other moves you forward, and only one of those choices will lead you to your next level. The people who grow, the ones who rise, are the ones who stop waiting. They stop waiting for someone to push them and decide to push themselves. They wake up and say, I'm not going to let another day go by without doing something to get better. They take ownership of their mindset, their routines, their reactions. They don't leave it to chance. They make a plan and execute, even when it's hard, even when no one is watching. That's what it means to be your own rescue. You do what needs to be done, no matter how you feel. The real test of personal growth is not how you perform when everything is going well. It's how you show up when everything is going wrong. When you feel tired, discouraged, or alone, do you give up or do you find a way to keep going? That's where you find out what you're really made of. And you'll never know your strength until you stop depending on others to carry you through. You'll never know your full potential until you face life's challenges head on and push forward anyway. Waiting on others is dangerous. People are human. They get busy. They let you down. They change their minds. If your progress depends on someone else's energy or approval, you'll always be limited. But when you take control of your own momentum, no one can stop you. Not circumstances, not people, not obstacles, because your power doesn't come from outside, it comes from within. There's something powerful about looking in the mirror and saying, it's all on me and I've got this. That's not arrogance, that's responsibility, that's strength, that's maturity, and that's exactly what it takes to level up. It takes the courage to be your own motivator, your own guide, your own support system. It takes the discipline to get up when you fall, to correct yourself when you slip, to keep going when it gets hard. No one else can live your life for you. No one else can do your push-ups, study your books, run your race, or chase your dream. That's all on you. And while that may feel overwhelming at first, it should also fire you up, because it means you're in control. You're not powerless. You're not at the mercy of chance. You are capable. You are responsible. And that means you can change everything if you're willing to put in the work. So don't wait another day. Don't wait for someone else to believe in you. Don't wait for the perfect time. It will never come. The perfect time is now. The perfect person to push you is you. This is your life, your mission, your responsibility, and it's time to own it. You are your only rescue, and that's more than enough. There's a common belief that pressure is something to avoid, something negative, something that only brings stress and pain, but that belief couldn't be further from the truth. Pressure is not your enemy. In fact, pressure is often the very thing that unlocks your potential. The same way that coal becomes a diamond under intense pressure, your character, strength, and ability are all developed when life applies heat. If you want to rise to your next level, you have to learn to see pressure not as something to fear, but as the environment in which your greatness is forged. Most people want success, but they want it without pressure. They want growth, but they don't want the discomfort that comes with it. They want the rewards, but not the responsibilities. The problem is, you can't have one without the other. Progress and pressure are partners. There's no such thing as leveling up without being tested, stretched, and pushed. Pressure is the signal that you're being prepared for something bigger. It's what reveals your weaknesses and demands that you strengthen them. It's what exposes your limits and invites you to break through them. It is the fire that refines you. Think about any athlete, any entrepreneur, any leader who has reached the top of their game. None of them got there without going through pressure. They had to deal with setbacks, criticism, sleepless nights, high stakes, and countless moments where quitting would have been easier. But they didn't quit. They embraced the pressure. They used it as fuel. They learned how to keep going even when things got tight, even when their back was against the wall. That's what separates them. That's what allows them to keep rising, because they understand that pressure is part of the process. When you run from pressure, you run from progress. You stay small. You stay safe. You stay exactly where you are. But the moment you lean into the pressure and stop resisting it, you begin to grow in ways you never imagined. You become mentally tougher, emotionally sharper, spiritually stronger. Your capacity increases. You begin to handle more, do more, and become more. And the people who rise in life are not the ones who avoid pressure, but the ones who build themselves up under it. Pressure reveals the truth about you. When things are easy, you don't really know how strong you are, but when life gets hard, when you're under pressure to perform, to produce, to show up, you find out what you're made of. So that's when your mindset is tested. That's when your discipline is either exposed or proven. The pressure doesn't lie. It brings everything to the surface. It shows whether you've been preparing or just pretending. But here's the beauty of pressure. It also gives you a chance to rise. Every time you face it, you get stronger. Every time you push through it, you get better. It might be uncomfortable in the moment, but it leaves you with growth that lasts. It leaves you more resilient, more focused, and more prepared for the next level. And once you understand that, you stop avoiding pressure and start welcoming it. You stop asking for things to be easier and start asking to be stronger. The key is to shift your mindset. Instead of saying, this is too much for me, start saying, this is growing me. Instead of breaking down under stress, start rising up with strength. Train yourself to respond, not react. Respond with focus, with strategy, with resilience. Because how you respond to pressure determines where you go next. You can either crumble or conquer. You can either be broken by it or be built by it. The choice is always yours. You also have to remember that pressure means progress. It means you're being stretched beyond your usual limits. It means you're stepping into unfamiliar territory, which is exactly where growth lives. If everything in your life feels comfortable and easy, you're probably not growing. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort zone. It happens in the fire. And every time you face pressure with courage, you train yourself to handle more. That's how leaders are born. That's how champions are made. You don't rise by avoiding what's hard. You rise by doing what's hard repeatedly. Pressure is your teacher. It's the gym where your mindset is trained, the battlefield where your strength is tested, the classroom where your resilience is built. So the next time you feel overwhelmed, the next time the weight feels too heavy, the deadline feels too close, or the situation feels too intense, remind yourself, this is where I level up. This is where I get better. This is where I separate myself from the average and step into excellence. You are not made to fold under pressure. You are made to rise in it. Let the pressure build you. Let it challenge you. Let it shape you into someone who doesn't just survive, but thrives. Because the higher you want to rise, the more pressure you'll face. And if you can learn to carry the weight now, you'll be ready for even greater responsibilities later. Pressure is not a punishment, it's preparation. So lean in, embrace it, and use it to become everything you were meant to be. Success isn't built on occasional bursts of effort or big dramatic changes. It's built on the quiet, steady discipline of consistency. It's not about doing everything perfectly once, it's about doing the right things persistently over time. Consistency may not be flashy, it may not feel exciting, but it is powerful. Because when you show up every single day, regardless of how you feel, you are laying the bricks of your future. You are stacking small wins, building habits, and creating momentum that compounds into massive results. If you want to level up your life, there is no shortcut around consistency. Most people don't fail because they lack talent or opportunity. They fail because they stop, they give up too early, they try something for a few days, don't see results, and quit. Or they work hard for a week, then fall off for a month. They live in cycles of starting and stopping, never allowing momentum to carry them forward. But success doesn't respond to inconsistency. It doesn't care about how hard you went for 2 days. It cares about how you show up on the hard days, the boring days, and the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. Consistency is what turns effort into excellence. It's the daily commitment to stay aligned with your goals. It's choosing your purpose over your feelings, because feelings fluctuate. Some days you're tired. Some days you're discouraged. Some days life hits you harder than you expected. But when you are consistent, you rise above your emotions. You don't let your moods dictate your actions. You operate from commitment, not convenience. And that is where power lives, when your actions are not controlled by how you feel in the moment, but by what you've decided to build over time. Think of anything great that's ever been accomplished: a successful business, a strong body, a great relationship, a powerful mindset. None of those things were built overnight. They were built by showing up again and again, by staying focused when no one was watching, by doing the work when it wasn't exciting. That's the part people don't see. They see the results, but not the repetitions. They see the outcome, but not the effort. What they miss is the fact that consistency is the engine behind all transformation. And here's the truth. Consistency is not about perfection. You don't have to get it all right every single time. What matters more is that you don't quit, that you keep getting back up, that you stay in motion. Even if you fall off one day, you come back the next. You recommit, you realign, you don't let one bad moment define your journey. That mindset is what makes consistency powerful. Not that you never stumble, but that you refuse to stay down. You train yourself to stay in the game, to stay focused, to keep building. There's something incredibly empowering about becoming a person who follows through. When you say you're going to do something and then actually do it day after day, you begin to trust yourself. That trust becomes confidence. That confidence becomes identity. You stop second-guessing yourself. You stop relying on outside validation. You know who you are because your actions prove it. And all of that comes from consistency. Every time you follow through, you reinforce a belief: I'm the kind of person who gets it done. That belief changes how you think, how you act, and how far you go. Consistency also gives you clarity. When you commit to a process and stick to it, you start to learn what works and what doesn't. You gain insight, not from guessing, but from experience. You refine your approach, you get sharper, you get more strategic, but none of that happens if you only show up once in a while. It's the steady rhythm of action that teaches you the lessons you need to grow. It's the repetition that sharpens your skills and deepens your understanding. It's how you move from average to excellent, from potential to performance. And it's not always glamorous. Consistency can feel dull. It can feel like nothing is changing. But that's the illusion, because behind the scenes, the progress is happening. Habits are forming. Muscles are growing. Skills are sharpening. Discipline is strengthening. And one day, all of that silent effort erupts into visible success. People will call it overnight, but you'll know the truth. You'll know how many early mornings, late nights, quiet sacrifices, and repeated steps it took to get there. You'll know that your consistency earned every bit of that breakthrough. So if you want to rise, commit to showing up every day without excuses, without drama. Just do the work. Build the habits. Stick to the plan. Track your progress. Celebrate the little wins. And when you fall short, don't spiral, reset. Keep going. Because in the end, it's not the most talented or the most lucky who win. It's the most consistent. The ones who keep showing up. The ones who keep building. The ones who don't stop until they reach their next level. Consistency is the path. Walk it with discipline, and greatness will follow. You have to stop hoping things will magically get better and start realizing that the only way life changes is when you decide to change it. You can't keep living the same way, thinking the same thoughts, doing the same things, and expect a different result. At some point, you must draw a line in the sand and say, enough is enough. Because your next level isn't waiting for you around the corner, it's waiting for you to take ownership, to step up and to do the work. No one's going to hand you the life you want. You have to go out there and earn it every single day. And the only way to do that is to take massive responsibility for where you are and where you're going. It's not about blaming your past. It's not about blaming your family, your circumstances, or the things that didn't go your way. It's about saying, yes, those things happened, but I'm still in control of what happens next. Because the moment you take responsibility, everything changes. You stop waiting for motivation. You stop waiting for approval. You stop waiting for a perfect moment. You start moving. You start doing. You start becoming. Too many people live in the waiting room of life. They say they're going to get serious someday. They say they'll start the business, go to the gym, write the book, fix their habits when things settle down, when they feel more confident, when someone gives them permission. But the truth is, someday is a myth. If you're always waiting for the right time, you'll wait forever. The right time is when you decide to start. That decision is what changes everything. That decision is what pushes you out of the waiting room and into the arena. It's not going to be easy. Growth never is, but it is necessary. You will have to face resistance. You will have to do things you don't feel like doing. You will have to say no to distractions and yes to discipline. You'll have to stretch beyond what's comfortable. But every time you push through, every time you stay committed, you're leveling up. You're becoming stronger. You're proving to yourself that you are capable of more than you thought. You see, people don't rise by accident. They rise on purpose. They make choices every single day that align with the person they want to become. They don't let circumstances decide their fate. They decide it. They show up early, stay late, practice longer, focus harder. They don't look for shortcuts. They don't take the easy way out. They take the path that demands effort because they know that effort is what transforms. It's also about building habits that support your vision. You can't want a better life and keep living by the same broken routines. You can't expect clarity when your life is filled with chaos. You have to get intentional. Set your alarm. Plan your day. Guard your focus. Be careful with your time. These are the building blocks of success. Not the big flashy moments, but the quiet, consistent ones. That's where champions are made. In the discipline. In the repetition. In the refusal to give up. And don't think you have to have it all figured out right now. You don't need the whole map. You just need to take the next step. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Momentum builds with action. Confidence grows with progress. The more you move, the clearer things become. Don't let fear of not knowing stop you from starting. The road will reveal itself as you walk it. You also need to surround yourself with the right energy. Not everyone will understand your journey. Not everyone will support your decision to level up. Some will doubt you. Some will criticize you. Some will try to pull you back into your old habits. That's okay. Let them stay where they are. You're not living for their approval. You're living for your purpose. And your purpose is too important to be compromised by opinions. Protect your mindset. Protect your dream. And protect your time like your life depends on it, because it does. So from this moment on, no more playing small, no more waiting, no more excuses. You owe it to yourself to become the version of you that you know you're capable of being. Not next year, not next month. Now, today, with what you have, start building, start grinding, start showing up like your future depends on it. Because it absolutely does. You've got one life, one shot, one chance to make it count. Force yourself to level up. And don't stop until the life you're living matches the vision you've been dreaming.